Okay, so I'm doing a live 2018, August 2018 forecast here on YouTube. And we're going to be doing this live. So I'll do the forecast here. I'm just going to go through it. And then you can, talk about some stuff and ask a few questions. I'll take a few questions. Around the end, but I thought I'd do it live and knock it out for you here on a Sunday in the US. So we're going to talk about this big month ahead. Of course, it does include 2 eclipses. I'm going to do special updates, a special video, probably early in the week on the eclipses. Hey folks, I see Matthias and Dave, Praveen, someone from Brazil. Nice to see you folks. And so I am going to do a special eclipse update because we do have another eclipse update. I'm also going to do a political update, kind of like world politics or world situation update in the next few days. But this is just about the general 2018 forecast and really sort of more on a personal level, like how we can experience it personally and whatnot. Rather than all about everything in the world, again, I'm going to do another update about more world events and then also one focused on eclipses, which are coming up on August 11th, about a week. So I'll be doing that one next, probably in the next couple days, maybe even tomorrow. And so let's get at it. So I'll bring up the chart here. This is the chart where we're at right now. I'm recording this on August 4th, so a little late to it. Been busy and have some classes coming up and whatnot. So it's been... I've had a few things going on. And so it looks like a few people are coming on. Before I get started here too, you guys can check this, can say hi a little bit. I'm going to post this link to the live feed here. And I've been doing this back and forth a little bit. August 2018. So just posted that. So again, we're doing this on August 4th. So the first part of the month was, let me get this right here. The first part of the month, get at the days. August 3rd, 2nd, August 1st, started in Pisces. And, so the first part of the month, like the end of last week, was really a time, even like with myself, I started a couple new classes. I'm teaching a live class in Santa Monica, California. So those of you who are in California those of you who are in California can come and visit me on August 25th and 26th. I'll be teaching on yoga and Vedic astrology. But I announced that class, and then I also announced the new class that I'm doing called the Astrology Swiss Army Knife. But I'm just saying this really tracked with that moon in Pisces, because the moon in Pisces, Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, so it's about teaching, inspiration, higher purpose. So you may have seen that, at the beginning, a few days ago, you were really looking into like higher teachings and, maybe your teachers and whatnot. That was on Wednesday and Thursday. Actually, I'm sorry, it was around the end of Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday. It was a lot of that Pisces energy. Now, the other thing that also just happened was Venus has just moved into Virgo. So as we began August 1st, you see Venus went into Virgo. So August could literally be the month where you could say it's the month of debilitated Venus, right? So it's the month where Venus is going to be debilitated for much of the month. And, you know, when Venus is debilitated, we start to sort of look at and analyze our relationships with other people. Of course, that means romantic relationships, but it also means all kind of relationships, because underneath it all, the thing to realize is that Venus is where we are looking to enjoy life, experience happiness, beauty. It's where we're willing to compromise with others in order to feel that and to find that. And what happens is in the sign of Virgo, which is very rational and very literal and sort of looking for errors and problems and flaws. That's literally what Virgo is about. It's a tamasic sign, which means it's motivated toward self-protection and finding problems. That's basically what the tamasic signs are focused on. When you bring Venus in there, which is about trying to be happy and try to appreciate what comes our way and then extend that appreciation, we can tend to find a lot of problems with what's being offered, what's being given, how we're being understood, how people receive us. So this is why Venus in Virgo is said to be debilitated. But again, that's just a term. You want to understand the actions and the energies of that environment. So I kind of make the joke that, when Venus is in its sign of debilitation, it's kind of like we sort of amass these spreadsheets of problems. Like, on my Instagram, I had an Instagram where I said that. I'll bring it up for you here. Where is it? Where I talked about that, and where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Where you can see where this is what I had for the. It has spreadsheets of problems. So this is what I put on my Instagram. So it's a it's a thing where we can really sort of get into this nitpicking behavior, where we can get very nitpicky about things and get really sort of frustrated with other people and not feeling like we're being heard and appreciated. So you want to be aware of this in August. You want to be aware that Venus in Virgo is going to bring this sort of quality perhaps for the month. And notice that there's maybe been a shift a little bit in your relationship and your understanding or your even feeling of being appreciated, because Venus was just in Leo. Venus in Leo is actually very passionate, and it can be a little bit demanding, but with your beloveds and other people, it can be very affectionate and very wanting to shower and, shower affection on people, right? Now, Virgo, it's a little bit more like, but do you appreciate how much affection I'm showering on you? I seem to be the one showering all the affection. How come you're not affectionate with me? Or these kinds of rational analysis. So as you can see, even on August 1st, that shift happened. And so again, this is going to be a long-term trend for this month. And if we go forward, I'll just step it forward and see Venus goes through it in, I think it's August 27th, I think it leaves or something. No, September. Oh, yeah. September 1st. Oh, yeah. So the whole month, August. Okay. Yeah. Because Venus is slowing down. It's about to go retrograde. But yeah. So by September 1st. So it's the whole month. Right. So it's the whole month that Venus is in Virgo. So just be aware of it. Again, be aware that your relationships and your relationships with other people might have that sort of cranky, irritable quality. So now, again, then we got into August 3rd and 4th, moon was in Aries. So Friday, Saturday, the moon was in Aries. More self-will, assertion, aggression, perhaps. It was also aspecting Jupiter. So Friday, Saturday also were good days for study, for looking to be inspired, for finding higher purpose and wisdom and whatnot. And, you know, those things are also, you know, it's similar to when the moon was in Pisces, has a similar quality to it. And sorry. Similar to when the moon was in Pisces in the sense of that Jupiter influence, but when the moon is in Aries, it's also aspected by Mars. The last couple of days have been kind of intense as far as your enthusiasm to start new things and put things out and put forth a lot of energy, especially teaching, if you like to teach and like to inspire others, or even for like physical activity and whatnot. Like, you know, I've had a couple really powerful days of going to my, you know, I just joined a club, tennis club, where I can play tennis and work out and swim and all like that. So I've been really getting into that. It's been hot here in San Diego. So it's been good for that. So then now we're going to go for August 5th, 6th, into the 7th. The moon is, it's back a few hours. The moon is in Taurus, where it's exalted. So this is really good for, you know, for these few days, August 4th through the 7th, moon comes into the sign of Taurus, where it's more settled, grounded, anchored, and where we can really connect with the heart, because the restless mind, the restless moon, sits on the fixed earth. Okay. And this is very much why the moon is exalted in Taurus, because the moon is where the mind and heart are restless, right? It's always changing. I feel this, I feel that. And we identify with the emotions, which are just on the surface, rather than feeling the depth of the heart. Pure love, like the things you love that are pure, like your family, your pets, your children, are much deeper than just the emotions, right? Even though they might get on your nerves and irritate you, which is an emotion, you still love them because there's something much deeper. And connecting with that love and depth is connecting to the power of the moon. And so when it gets in Taurus, it becomes stable. And you're not so identified with all those emotions, you're identified with the stability underneath. So this is why on Sunday, Monday into Tuesday, it's really good for connecting with family, nurturing, reestablishing that solid connection that you have with those people in your life who are, you know, a structure in your life that you're not just going to give up on. And you see, there are some people in situations where if they bring too much drama in your life, you get rid of them. But you're not going to get rid of those things that really connect you to the true peace and love in your heart, or the true love in your heart. Not always peaceful, but that's your job. That's your job to find the peace. And the way you find the peace is through being internal, through meditation, through introspection. And again, when the moon is in Taurus, it's very easy to do that. So don't just enjoy the fun part or enjoy the connection externally, connect internally as well. Okay. And by the way, I'm going over these quick assertions, quick but thorough, of the moon going through the signs, but I describe these relationships every day. I do a I do a forecast that teaches people about, the daily, astrology weather. That it also includes nakshatra, includes the tithi or the lunar day. For instance, lunar days are, like you can see on this day, on the 7th, which is Tuesday, it's Ekadashi. It's Tuesday, which is ruled by Mars. So I talk about the Lord of the Vara, which is, Mars is the ruler Tuesday. Ekadashi is the tithi. It's Mrigashira Nakshatra, and it's Taurus ascendant, Taurus Rashi. So I talk about all of these things every day. So I do this daily forecast. I've been doing it for more than 10 years. If you want to try it out, if you haven't done it before, it's only 50 cents. You can get it for 2 weeks. And if you want to keep going, then you can do that. But it also includes detailed forecasts on the eclipses, on other special times, other full moon and new moons. So again, only 50 cents to try for 2 weeks. And then it's about $1 a day if you decide to stay, if you decide to stay as a member, right? So I've got about 150 members. It grows all the time. So you can look at that as well. So then as you see, then on August 8th, so if we go forward now, let me put it up to 4 days. Now, August 8th, 9, the moon is in Gemini, August 8th and 9th. Now, again, when the moon is in Gemini, it's also going to be aspected by Saturn. So moon in Gemini is very much about speech, communication, ideas. And Gemini is a sign, it's ruled by Mercury, and it's where we're trying to understand things intellectually. But again, the moon, and the reason we evaluate the moon is because the moon is the thing that's changing every day. And it's our consciousness, it's our awareness. The moon is literally the body that takes the power of the sun and creates life with it. Literally, because there would be no life on the earth without the moon regulating all of the weather patterns, the oceanic tides. So where the moon is every day shows the general feeling of the day. This is why even in my daily forecast, I talk about the moon. This is why the moon is the most important factor in what's called Muhurta, especially in understanding the energetic potential of any given day, right? So the Rashi that the moon is in, the sign, shows the sort of collective feeling that we're going to have. And again, some people, they're like, well, okay, I kind of believe that, but they don't pay any attention to it. When you start paying attention to it, your whole life changes, by the way. So again, this is why I encourage people to try the forecasts, honestly, because we tend to believe in this, but we don't know it until we start watching it. And this is why I do it. This is why I've been doing these forecasts every day for 10 years, because you're going to feel a shift. Like I talked about at the beginning of the month. Maybe you weren't paying attention, so you're trying to go back in retrospect and go, oh yeah, kind of. But when you're tracking it every day, you totally notice the difference. There's a total different energy today as I record this on August 5th than it was the previous 2 days where the moon was in Aries, aspected by Jupiter, and we were fired up. Next couple of days, we're going to feel more settled, more relaxed, more content, more willingness to maybe even be a little lazy and just kind of relax with our friends and that sort of thing. That's going to be there because the moon's in Taurus. Then it's going to change. It's going to go into Gemini, which is now, again, that would be on August 8th and 9th. There's going to be a shift toward intellectual, trying to figure things out, like a young child curiously exploring his world, right? And so this is what Gemini is about. So we'll have that feeling. Now, again, it can make us kind of, it generates emotion because it's like, oh, what's this? What's this? What's this? I like this. I don't like this. This feels good. This doesn't. And we're curiously looking for things, right? Speech, communication, feedback, trying to interpret our feelings, put them into words. That'll be important on the 8th and the 9th. There will be an aspect by Saturn and an aspect by Jupiter, which shows a feeling of consequences. We'll be evaluating larger structures in our life, larger focus, things that we're focused on, larger commitments will be a big part of that. We'll be rationalizing and analyzing those things. And we'll be looking for that sense of purpose and sense of deeper meaning in those things, because Jupiter will be aspecting the moon as well. The sense of deeper meaning and purpose will also be there because Jupiter will be aspecting the moon as well. So again, these will all be part of those days, the 8th and the 9th. That's just because the moon is in Gemini. But again, there's also going to be, it's also Krishna Triadashi on the 9th, Krishna Chaturdashi on the 10th, right? So that it's also, this is Punarbasu Nakshatra, it was Ardra Nakshatra. All of these little things are different parts of it. Again, that's what I do in the forecast. So now, as you see on the 9th, it's the Triadashi, which is the 13th lunar day. Then on the 10th and 11th, this is when we get into this eclipse, okay? So the eclipse is on the 11th, but on the 10th, the moon goes into Cancer, and you can see we're getting near the eclipse. So on the 10th and the 11th, the moon goes into Cancer where it's joined Rahu, which is the eclipse point. And on the 10th, it's actually literally the Amavasya, but it doesn't literally become new until the 11th. I'll talk about the eclipse later and the new moon. But again, one thing to understand is that these new moon cycles are the cycles that actually create something new. So this happens to be an eclipse creating something new. So again, I'll do a whole forecast on that. But we have the cycle starting, and the Cancer cycle starting on the 10th and the 11th. So wherever the sign of Cancer is in your chart, that's going to show the real focus of the next 30 days. And because it's an eclipse, it's going to be really powerful. Very powerful month for this year. Now, again, this is going to be some interesting days because the moon will then be in Cancer, which is the sign of feeling, emotion, big emotions, very extravagant, perhaps getting out of control a little bit because Rahu is there. It's also aspected by Mars. Again, you have to be careful of getting triggered and lashing out and blowing things out of proportion, paranoia. Again, it's not just because it's an eclipse, but Rahu is actually about making things bigger and exaggerating them. Mars is about, wanting to protect ourselves. The conjunction or the association of Rahu and Mars create, especially with Mercury also, which is about ideas, can definitely create a certain kind of paranoia. Rahu is the main sign of paranoia because it blows things up really quickly. Conspiracy theories, which are really just a way to shortcut and short circuit rational thought, can run rampant. And again, paranoia or a conspiracy theory is another version of paranoia. It's just we attach it to something maybe bigger, and when I say paranoia, we often think on a personal level. Like we get paranoid that someone's cheating on us or something, right? That's sort of paranoid. We get limited information like, oh, I saw you look at that girl. Oh, I saw you text this girl. I saw you Facebook friended this girl or boy or whatever, and we blow it out of proportion. That's called paranoia. So that must mean that you like him or whatever. A larger version of that's some kind of conspiracy theory, but a personal conspiracy theory, right? Which is this thing's happening behind my back. I don't have enough information to really know anything about it, but I'm going to blow it up into some big story and believe the story anyway, as if that story was real. Because in your own mind and consciousness, a conspiracy theory, a paranoid feeling, and a paranoid belief is real to you. It's real to you at that moment until it gets disproven. This is why it's dangerous to have a lot of conspiracy theories. It also shortcuts rational thought. It's also easier to believe in some paranoid story when you don't have, because it's hard to gather information to figure things out and actually understand them. And again, I'm not just talking about this randomly, and this is why there's so much conspiracy theories in the world right now and why we're really seeing the explosion of them. And it's easier to believe in a conspiracy theory than get the details straight. And this is a big part of what Mercury retrograde is right now, the Mercury retrograde cycle. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in another video, but I'm talking about it now because August 10th and 11th, around this eclipse, we could see again, some big things blow up in the world, in your own life as well. So watch this in your own life and notice right now how the tendency to like shortcut and short circuit rational thought and instead believe some conspiracy theory because it's easier. And notice with the conspiracy theory, how many holes are in it and how it's really not sensible. Okay. So again, this will be in the sign of Cancer, which is about nurturing. It's about emotion again, but we nurture our conspiracy theories. We nurture and nourish our emotions and our feelings. And so besides that excitable possibility, there's also the real possibility, particularly when we get to new moons and eclipses, for enormous introspection and a withdrawal from the external noise of the world. And that's really the deeper lesson in these times that we're living right now, is to not get so hooked into the drama of the world. And again, sometimes, well, I'll just say that, I talk about the socio-political implications of things often and whatnot. And, people don't understand, like, or they want to feel like sometimes that I'm so hooked into stuff because I pay attention and notice and look at it and call it out. Like when politicians are dishonest, or this is this way or this is that way, I say it. There was a time when that was just like, yeah, okay, that's what's happening. But now, because there's so much backstory around it and so many, again, versions of reality, because we're all consuming little bits of stuff, that there's a lot of different ways to see it. And even the fact that I call it out or I pay attention to it seems like I'm so attached to it. I'm definitely attached to some extent, like we all are. This is the world we live in. But again, if you saw my life besides this, you would see how I'm also very detached from it. Much of the time, I'm like, it's hard to get me to like pay attention to anything in the world. When I do, I'm interested and curious about how things work and the astrological implications and seeing the beauty of the astrology play out and how it's all working and the fascination with it all. But again, I'm not saying this because I love to talk about myself. I'm saying it because talking and seeing this world the way it is doesn't mean we have to like say, okay, this is the only reality and my whole life is about this. And what happens when the world gets destroyed or when we're doing all of this and these politicians and all of that and getting so fired up and acting like our whole life is governed by this. It's not. We're not of this world. On a soul level, we are a soul having a human experience, not a human with a soul. We had a soul long before we started incarnating as human. We went through all of the different experiences through all the kingdoms. And then to get a human birth is a very high level. So this is why on some level you're, part of you is a rock, is a flower, is a water, is a raindrop. Your soul is beyond all of this. This is why there's so much suffering. So I'm saying this because especially during the 10th and the 11th, when the moon goes through Cancer and gets in this vortex of eclipse energy and all that, you want to detach from all of that and connect with the deeper self beyond all of the drama of the world. Okay? And not just you want to do it, but that's the spirit of that time. The spirit of that time, when we have eclipses and we have these new moons, is to withdraw from the world and reconnect with the soul, because the sun is burning up the moon at that time. You see, the moon is very dark. You can't see it in the sky. So the sun, which is the supreme self, the Paramatman, which is beyond this world, is burning up and consuming the moon, which is the mind, and that attachment to this separate identity. The moon, which is the supreme self, is consuming the jiva, which is a separate self or the moon at that time. It's burning it up. So it's saying you're not of this world, so connect to the other world. That's the spiritual power of eclipses. This one will be very powerful because the moon is eclipsed in its own sign. So there's enormous potential to really drop in and connect to the pure devotion in your heart. But again, it's happening with that contrast of intensity of an eclipse, of Mars aspect, of Mercury aspect, of those two retrograde aspecting each other. So it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of potential attachment. And so then the moon continues through in Leo on August 12th and 13th. The moon continues. It goes into Leo, which then the moon starts to wax. Again, I'm just going to add this link again here because some people are joining and starting to watch. If you want to get, these daily updates, literal, like every day, you can join the Astrology Training Lab. You also get a lot of free classes, but I talk about every day, not just based on the sign, not just based on the Rashi, but also based on the nakshatra, the tithi, because of course these planets are also in nakshatras, and of course totally sidereal based zodiac. There is no such thing as Vedic astrology with tropical zodiac. People that are saying that aren't really doing Vedic astrology. Literally, it's a body of science and knowledge that is practiced a certain way, and it's completely sidereal. Rashis and signs and houses are all aligned, pinned to the sidereal sky. So these nakshatras are built in. So all that stuff I was saying about Cancer, it was also in Pushya nakshatra, then Aslesha nakshatra, which is where we're going to have the eclipse. All of that is also talked about in the daily forecast that you would get. It's only 50 cents to try it for 30 days. For 14 days. So these are comprehensive. If you want to check that out, you can do that as well. I posted the link. And again, I do this because people ask me all the time, what do you recommend for us to learn? What's the best way we can really learn? This is the best way, is to watch it every day. The first best thing. So this is why I make those things available. I make it dirt cheap. You can try it. If you can't afford 50 cents, you're just not interested. Everyone can afford it. You're just not interested, which is fine. You don't have to be interested. But I make it available dirt cheap for anybody. It's basically free. 50 cents is basically free, but you got to get the recurring, billing set up somehow. So if someone's actually interested, this is the best way to learn, is to watch it every day. And then you also get 8 hours of free classes that teach beginning astrology. And they're very good. I taught them at conferences years ago. And also videos on neuroscience in the brain and how the brain works relative to Sanatana Dharma, or Indian teaching, Indian philosophy. So again, this is the best way to learn. Track it every day. Track the sun-moon cycles. Track the lunar phases. Track the nakshatras. Track the signs. Track the aspects. Okay. So in this thing I'm doing right now, I'm just mainly talking about the planet in the signs, but that's just the superficial level. But it's a very important one. So as you see on August 12th and 13th, the moon goes into Leo, which is about this fiery awareness, this fiery self that emerges from the emotional waters of Cancer. Then we have the fiery individuality of Leo. So again, each sign builds on itself this way. So for August 12th and 13th, after all of that eclipse energy where we should go inward, then we kind of reemerge when the moon goes through Leo for a couple days and really put ourselves out there and really connect and share that light that we have within. It'll feel like a reprieve. It'll feel very empowering. But again, you also have to be careful with the shadow side of Leo, which is the shadow side of Leo is that sort of tyrant energy, which can undercut our path and isolate us from people. So I'm having a couple people asking me about the lab here, so I'm just going to share and talk about it a little bit. As you see, my screen is up here. It's very simple. 50 cents, new and full moon updates, 8.5 hours of classes, daily forecasts, sun cycle, moon cycle forecasts. Again, the daily forecasts are what I'm showing you here, but instead of just the sign, it's also the nakshatra, the tithi, also the lord of the day, right? And then also you get several, and it says 3 courses that can shift your life. Literally, these are great other free gifts that you get. Whether you stay or not, you get these free gifts. Again, for the 50 cents, it's not free, but this great chart reading template. These are the templates that I give my advanced students. And I say it's a $97 value. It's like an hour-long chart reading template. I give you an example, literally how to read your chart, how to form sentences that show you how to read your chart. It's extremely valuable. I mean, it's like I show you how to do it. It's where to start, what the next thing is. Again, for advanced students, it's great, but for beginning students too, it gives you a structure. So you actually can see how to read your chart, right? This is available immediately when you try it for 50 cents. So the next is course 2, which Foundations of Astrology. These are 4 hours. It's 3 90-minute videos that I taught at astrology conference several years ago. The first one, 90 minutes, Spirit Takes Form. The second one, Deeper Meaning of Planet Signs and Houses. And the third one, Organizing Information for Chart Reading. Again, live, there were people asking me questions. This is just for 50 cents. You get all of this whether you stay in the lab or not. For 50 cents, you get that. 4.5 hours. It says 4. It's actually 4.5. And then course 3, Quantum Vedic Astrology, 3-hour classes. Again, this is something that I taught at a conference. Quantum Vedic Astrology, it's literally taking the same principles of Vedic astrology and quantum physics. And I'm not talking about some abstract way that somehow it works. I'm talking about, if you want to even learn about quantum physics, it's a good thing to learn this class, because I talk about things like the double slit experiment, the casino effect. If you don't know what these things are, entangled particles. And I show these things not just in Vedic terms, but how Vedic astrology shows it. I also talk about neuroscience and things like the RAS, or the reticular activating system, cognitive biases, all of these things, which is how your brain creates karma based on your astrology chart. So again, the value of these classes, I mean, people paid $197 to hear me teach this class. This was people at a conference, and this is like an hour-long video training of me teaching you how to read the chart. So all that's, free when you try it for 50 cents. So again, it's a bit of a commercial here, but again, this is like me giving you something. Click that link and go get it for 50 cents. I mean, it's like, so, I don't feel guilty. I'll just say, something about the nature of the world right now, even doing this, some people be like, oh, this big commercial. Yeah, okay. But people are asking, and, this is about an update for August, but, I'm going to talk about this because anybody who's really interested in astrology, if you're really interested and you want to spend a whopping 50 cents, you can get 8.5 hours of like top-notch training from me. And if you want to continue, and you get 2 weeks of forecasts for 50 cents. And then if you want to keep getting them, it winds up being $39.95 a month after that, if you want to keep it up. If not, you cancel before the 14 days and you're never charged. So again, this is what, this is what it's about. So anyway, people are asking me about it. So, all right. So anyway, I'm going to just go on. There's a couple of questions. I'll come back and answer them. So picking up now for August 12th and 13th, moon is in Leo. So it's that passion to reconnect with your vision in life, because the moon is then in Leo, right? So then we move forward on August 14th and 15th. now the moon joins this debilitated Venus in Virgo. And so again, it's easy to just focus on the debilitation part. Look, the Venus in Virgo is just where we become quite literal, where we become, where we find the faults with not just our partners, but other people, and we feel like we're not appreciated and respected. So consequently, then we become disrespectable. So again, we just need to be aware of that. But there's a real power of Venus in Virgo as well, and that has to do with organizing things. We can be very organized when Venus is in Virgo as well, and it's a good time to organize and arrange things. And the moon will join Venus in Virgo at that time, and either way, anytime Venus joins the moon, it leads to a lot of devotion, a lot of potential devotional practices and whatnot can come forth at that time. But again, it also really brings you into that quality with your partner. And so you'll want to join with your partner at that time, August 15th and 16th, August 14th and 15th. Be a good time to also connect with your partner and hopefully work through some of this cranky irritability if that's been happening. Then moon joins Jupiter in Libra. Now Jupiter turns direct. Jupiter's already been direct. Yeah, that's right. Jupiter turned direct already. So on the 16th and 17th, 16th and 17th, moon is in Libra, join Jupiter. So again, that's also about, moon in Libra. Libra is about connecting with others, connecting with, trying to, accommodate others. Jupiter there also gives that sense of graciousness, especially in a higher sense, where we want to connect with others in a higher sense, especially through teachings and whatnot. So it's good for classes and, for study at that time. And that's, hang on a second. And that's why I actually scheduled a class for that weekend. Here's another link. This is to a class that I scheduled called the Swiss Army Knife, the Astrology Swiss Army Knife. And you can check that out if you're interested. If you're a student that's interested in Vedic astrology, this is actually a great, this is a great weekend course that'll be online, actually. And it's, astrologyswissarmyknife.com. That weekend, Jupiter Moon, I'll be doing online seminar teaching my best tips and tricks so that you know which little thing to look at in which situation. So it's really cool. It'll be a great class. I'm really looking forward to teaching it. And, there's already a lot of people registered, and a lot of them are my most advanced students. So aside from just listening to me, you're going to be in the presence of all of my advanced students, and they have great stuff to share. Believe me, that's one of the best things about gathering together like this is I've taught some wonderful teachers and astrologers, and they're going to be there as well. So you're not just hearing me, you'll be hearing their stories of how these things work as well. So it's going to be great. I'm really interested in, having a lot of people on there. It's going to be a crowded house, and it's going to be by video, Zoom video. You can check it out. It'll also be recorded. So you'll have all of it for the rest of your life if you can't attend in real time. So that's why I decided to teach that weekend. I put this stuff into practice, folks. And it's also why my stuff is successful, because I always find the right time to do things. So on August 17th, August 16th and 17th, that'll be the deal. So then August 18th, 19th, the moon goes through Scorpio. It's in its debilitation at that time on August 18th and 19th. And that's where the emotions become somewhat self-protective. And we become, again, when I was talking even about that potential for paranoia and suspicion and getting emotionally ahead of ourselves, those are qualities related to Scorpio as well, because Scorpio is a Tamasic sign where we're trying to protect ourselves, especially from emotional pain. And we can start to project our fears and worries onto others and into the world. Now, again, that's not the ultimate potential. When we don't understand astrology well, we say, oh yeah, Scorpios are paranoid, or like paranoia is the only thing. No, and there's so many other ways that paranoia can come in. In fact, I even said Rahu, the interaction of Rahu and Mars. Rahu definitely is the planet that has more to do with it, but Scorpio is the sign, and this is why Rahu is debilitated in Scorpio. Because Scorpio can tend to start with a feeling that I have to be careful because people might take advantage of me or I'm vulnerable. Now, again, the creative option with that energy is to then turn inward and find our true self and have the emotional courage to go within rather than project that emotional weakness outside onto everybody that we think is making us weak and vulnerable. It's always the same. So Scorpio can have that potential vulnerability and paranoia, but also the potential emotional courage to say, okay, I'm not going to just be triggered. So on the 18th and 19th, that's going to be the real lesson, okay? Then on the 20th, 21st, and into the 22nd, so the midway through the 20th, the moon goes into Sagittarius, and it'll join Saturn there. So moon in Sagittarius, again, midway through the 20th, and then 21st, 22nd, a return to a more hopeful outlook, because Sagittarius comes after Scorpio. All that imagined fear and stress and worry, it doesn't last forever. There's something after that, which is, okay, so now I'll find a purpose, I'll find a meaning, I'll find an explanation, I'll find something to believe in that's bigger than all of that stressful attachment. And hopefully it's something good. Hopefully we find a good belief system, again, and not something like a conspiracy theory to believe in. Belief in, because belief is always a little bit blind because we don't know. There are things we don't know. So we have to believe in them. So we're either believing in something good, which is based on rational data gathering and understanding, or we're too intellectually lazy to do that and to actually learn about things. And then we just believe in something. And sometimes even the fact of belief itself has merit, because believing in something gives us comfort, even if it's something bad. It's better than being stuck in that thing that we were just stuck in. So even belief in something bad, like a stupid conspiracy theory, where we haven't bothered to look into the details of it, it gives us comfort. And aside from conspiracy theory, even something like religion, even if we don't think religion is very valuable, it comforts us. It's better than the alternative, which is I don't know anything, I don't believe in anything, and I'm just stuck here as a shivering, vulnerable animal that's going to die. If we don't have anything to believe in, this is why people kill themselves. They don't have any answer. So again, the moon is going through Sagittarius on midway through the 20th, and then the 21st and 22nd. It's also joined Saturn, which makes it a little bit tricky. So this is why, again, to some extent, a lot of our beliefs are getting smashed right now because Saturn has been grinding through Sagittarius. And so we're really looking for a good belief system to focus and commit to. And it's a time when our beliefs are getting shattered in the world. We're seeing all around us the collective structures that we believed in. Again, this includes governments, religions, the internet, social media, all of this stuff that we thought, okay, this is good. It doesn't mean they're getting destroyed. They're getting destroyed on some level, though, because destruction is never ultimate. Destruction is part of a process of rebirth. But the old way is getting destroyed. and we don't know what's going to replace it yet. That's why there's so much restlessness in the world right now. But a lot of that started when Saturn went into Sagittarius in early 2017, at the beginning of 2017. It started. So we're going to feel that thing on a personal level, that personal revolution of belief on midway through August 20th and through August 22nd. And again, if you want to know the specifics each day, because it goes into it the middle of the 20th, it's in the nakshatra of Mula. The first nakshatra in Sagittarius is Mula, where we uproot all of that dark paranoid feeling, because we all have it, whether we're Scorpio or not. We all have the energy of Scorpio. We all have this triggered paranoid nature, and we need to uproot that and plant good teachings. And that happens in Sagittarius. First nakshatra is Mula, where we uproot it. Second nakshatra is Purva Falguni, where we plant those seeds of devotion. Well, we plant the seeds in Mula, then we nurture that devotion in Purva Ashada. I'm sorry, I said Purva Falguni. Purva Ashada, which means early victory. And then we commit to that nurturing and that growth and growing that new tree of life in Uttara Ashada, which means guaranteed victory. Again, these are the nakshatras and how the nakshatras make up the signs. And again, I'm just going to say it again because there's enough of that out there. Anybody who says that the signs and the nakshatras aren't aligned, I don't know what they're on. It's not anywhere in Vedic astrology, and particularly when you start looking at the connection to these nakshatras and the rashis, you see it's totally aligned. If you're not doing that and you're saying, well, I use tropical, you're disconnecting these things. So you're looking at the same portion of sky measured two different ways. And the nakshatras no longer line up with this perfect symmetry of the first part of Sagittarius is to uproot the difficult qualities of Scorpio and then plant the seeds that you nurture in Purva Ashada, which is literally ruled by the god Apis, the god of the ocean of love and devotion. This is the quality of Purva Ashada, and it's in Sagittarius. It's not in Capricorn. So again, this never existed. These ideas never existed even 10 years ago. So again, proceed with all of that at your own peril. And by the way, tropical zodiac works fantastic for Western astrology, but the whole system of Western astrology is based on tropical zodiac now at this point. Because Western astrology now doesn't even resemble where it began when the zodiacs were, crucial. Now it's been set up to accommodate this different zodiac and all these changes. So that's a larger discussion. But again, you want to understand that these things are totally congruent with the signs and nakshatras occupying the same space, like it has been in every Vedic astrology text for 2,000 years. So please don't buy into that. Okay. So you can see that on August 22nd, the moon is at the end of Sagittarius, and then August 23rd, 24th, and much of the 25th. Again, see the moon doesn't rationally change. It's halfway, halfway into the 23rd, then the 24th, and most of the 25th, it's in Capricorn. And we have another full moon. It's not an eclipse now, but it's also joined Mars Ketu and joined this eclipse point, right? So then the moon goes into Capricorn after Sagittarius, and the inspiration and hope and purpose of Sagittarius, we have the commitment and duty and work and effort of Capricorn. Again, this is one of the problems that happens. People believe something, but they don't focus, they don't really commit to it, they don't really put it into practice. It's just a belief. But Capricorn awakens us to the harsh realities of life. And then we have to put those beliefs into practice. For instance, somebody dies, which is very sort of Capricorn thing, or this awareness of death, very Capricorn thing. And that's when we really fall back on our faith. That's when we really see what we actually believe, or what we're actually putting into practice. And we see the disconnect between our beliefs, which could be anything, and what we really are authentically living, right? And so so This is why Capricorn comes after Sagittarius. Again, the nakshatras also show it. I'm not going to get into that, but of course they do. First nakshatra, though, I'll say is Uttar Ashara, which takes the inspiration of Capricorn, of the inspiration of Sagittarius, and grounds it into the work, focus, commitment of Capricorn, which guarantees our victory. That's what Uttar Ashara means, guaranteed victory, right? So on those days, end of the 22nd and 23rd, and, oh, wait a minute, did I do that right? What are the days? No. So it's midway through the 23rd, then the 24th and 25th, moon is in Capricorn, focus, commitment, seriousness, heaviness. And it's also joined Mars and Ketu. So again, it could be a lot of intensity, passion, drama there. And also Mercury turns direct. Where did Mercury? Okay, so Mercury actually went direct August 18th. I missed August 19th. Yeah, so August 19th, Mercury starts moving forward again. It had been retrograde. So after August 19th, we can start thinking a little more clearly again. So then by the time we get here, Mercury's aspecting the moon. That's why I looked at it, because we're also have that Mercury aspect. So we're trying to figure things out and listen a little bit more and communicate a little bit better as the moon goes through Capricorn here on the midway through the 23rd, then 24th and 25th. Then 26, 27, moon in Aquarius, which has to do with culture, society, our relationship with each other, our, the social contract that we have, trying to make the world a better place. Mars also turns direct. So Mars will start moving forward again by the end of the month. Mars has been retrograde, but he starts to move forward again. So we could see some real movement, some external movement in our life around certain bottled up energies that I was talking about. And that will be important as some of these planets start to move forward. But again, on the 26th and 27th, we'll feel a connection to each other, that social contract, and really notice the political landscape and our community and our relation to the community. At least we should. And notice how much we're serving our role. And we all want to serve a proper function and role in society. And so we'll really notice that, because it's not just about us preserving our own life, which can be the negative quality of Capricorn, is we're just kind of hunkered down into our own survival. And again, if that's how we're living our life, then we're totally like neglecting our social duties, our social obligations, and we feel it. And we feel somewhat guilty about it, because we're like, my life isn't really making any purpose. I'm just tangled up in my own world of emotions and fears and stress. So you'll notice that, and it's a good day. These are good days on the 26th and 27th to step outside yourself, to be of service, to evaluate the contribution you're making to the world in your work and in other ways as well. And then 28th, 29th, and into the 30th, the moon goes through Pisces, which again aspects this Venus, especially on the 30th, but the moon in Pisces then brings us into this higher metaphysical awareness again, above teaching and higher principles, higher purpose, and where we even connect with something that's not of this world. It's a higher meaning and purpose, even beyond our social entanglements, right? And by the way, I should say that in this transit through Aquarius, I forgot to mention, Jupiter will also be aspecting it. So it's even more of an opportunity, especially for people who are teachers on the 26th and 27th, especially for those who are teachers, to really step up and teach and share what they have to share, okay? And when you do that, then when the moon goes through Pisces, also aspecting Venus, then you're really connecting, after teaching and sharing your gifts with the world, which is what we all want to do, then we can feel good about our duties and responsibilities in the world and feel like we've accomplished our mission. Because really the highest quality of Aquarius is where we want to feel like we're accomplished our mission for the world. Like we came here to do the thing for society and the world that we were meant to do, and that we've made the world and left the world better than we found it. Not until that time do we let go of our karma with the world and reconnect with that cosmic self, which is Pisces. Until we feel like we have karma with the world, which is Aquarius, we keep reincarnating. So you need to fulfill your social duties and obligations. And that doesn't, and again, that means literally like making your life not necessarily in its totality, but at some point an offering to the world and to leaving the world better than you found it. Most of us don't do that. We're committed to our own happiness and getting what we want and all that. Nothing wrong with that, but that's a lower stage, frankly, on the evolutionary scale. This is why you see these great Mahatmas, these great beings, these great gurus. Most of their life is service to something higher, and it's usually other people trying to teach them, educate them. And at that time, at the time of death, they feel like they've accomplished their mission and they can surrender. Even in life, they can surrender. Even in life, when we feel like we're accomplishing our mission, we can then connect to the higher mystical, metaphysical qualities of Pisces. So that'll be important, that theme. And if we don't feel like we're doing it, what we do is we escape into some pseudo fantasy that we have about ourselves and about life. Or we escape from the fact that we're not showing up, and we escape into some fantasy world through TV or media or drugs and alcohol or some fantasy life, rather than escaping into the truth of who we are, escaping from the false reality into the true reality. And so this moon in Pisces, the end of the month, August 29th, 30th, and into the, 28th, 29th, and into the 30th, will show that. So that's literally like the story of the month. Hang on a second. I'll be back in a second. Good chat. Okay. I had to go to the bathroom. I'm keeping it real. On the 100%. All right. So looks like there's a lot of questions, just a lot of conversation. I'm not really sure how much questions is here. Okay. So if anyone had a question, you can ask it. I'm just going to go back while people are asking questions and show the, wait a minute, 1 second. And show the, these sites I talked about. I am doing this Vedic Astrology Swiss Army Knife Friday, August 17th through 19th. Remember, I said this is when the moon goes through Libra and joins Jupiter. So it's a great day to really learn about a lot of things that you've heard about here and there, hierarchy of importance for character traits, life potential. So I really break down the simple but elegant way to organize information in the astrology charts, and $179 for 12 hours. It's all recorded for the entire weekend. So you have the classes for the rest of your life. If you've been gathering a lot of information from a lot of astrologers, this will really help you. Even if you haven't, even if you're somewhat new, you're going to see a lot of the deeper factors. And again, it'll be a lot of my advanced students there. I have my student Alex Clayman is going to be helping me manage the call and, you know, help answer people's questions. And there's also, like I've talked about here, because a lot of people asked about it, is the astrology training lab. Again, you even when you register only 50 cents, you get 8 hours of classes. Chart reading template, which is about an hour, then 4.5 hours from a course that I taught on the foundations of astrology. I mean, this is like 90 minutes of how spirit takes form based on planets, then the meaning of planet signs and houses, then great case studies where I go over and show you how it works. And then this course on quantum Vedic astrology. Again, this was taught at a conference. People paid $197 for this, I think. And wonderful handout. And then you hear me talking about this subject. You'll even, if you don't know anything about neuroscience or, you know, quantum physics or anything like that, you'll also learn a lot, even just in that regard. So, you know, most people don't really know much about those things, but you'll learn it there. So, you know, let me go back here and see.